Well, everyone, I'm so excited to get this tournament underway. Let's meet the rest of the broadcast team. Will be hanging out with us this weekend, making the calls through the feature match area. Marshall Sutcliffe and Paul Chian, our dynamic duo, will be in the booth, as well as Cedric Phillips and Mani Devuti. Welcome back to the Pro Tour, Cedric. Took a job at Wizards of the Coast, hashtag WotC staff, but he's back with us here this weekend, and we could not be more excited. Well, everyone, it is time for Final Fantasy Draft this morning. I am very, very excited to find out what happens. So I'm going to pass it on over to Marshall and Paul with the call.
Thank you, Maria. Welcome to the booth here at Pro Tour Final Fantasy. That's Paul Chian. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. Thank you so much for joining us for Booster Draft. We're about to get things kicked off here, Paul, with Matt Nass. We're going to be following him along for his whole draft here and see what his take on this format is. The cool part about it, you know, we heard Corey at the news desk say this too. It's wide open.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those formats where you really have to know how to draft basically all 10 color pairs. And if you don't, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And Matt Nass, you know, historically known to be a fantastic constructed player, and oftentimes in limited, because I've tested with him in the past, it's like, all right, show me some of the really good archetypes, and I'll just make sure I know how to draft those. So I was really curious to see if Matt spent the time to really master the limited format.
And we get a chance to see that right here. Let's take a look at the table that Matt has drawn. These are random, right? You don't get to choose. There's no seeding or ranking applied to day one draft tables. And you can see Matt, oh, right there, Christopher Larson directly on his left.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, that's usually a good thing. What you want are, you want to be able to recognize people close to you that has had some success, knows what they're doing with limited. Chris Larson is an excellent limited player, and that way, you know, Chris is going to be able to understand and read the signals. And if you play nice with each other, you both end up with good decks.
That's right. Draft is a really interesting dynamic in that way, in that you actually want to cooperate with your neighbors to a certain extent. And we'll see if that's what happens here. Let's get into the first draft.
And no cards are marked.
Pro Tour Final Fantasy.
Now's a good time to raise your hand.
As you can see, John here, our judge, this is a timed draft, so the judge is going to be reading out exactly what the players do for each action. This is to keep things consistent across the entire room.
Go? All right, pick up. You have 40 seconds.
Let's see what Matt opens up here. There was Iridia I saw, Fire Magic, Suplex, Dragoon's Wyvern also.
Yeah, Fire Magic is quite a nice card here. There's also Suplex, but I believe that they actually really like the card Fire Magic. You know, it's in one of the best archetypes in the format. It's a really nice card if you're the blue-red deck, but just also, if you like drafting slower control decks, it's kind of the reset button that allows you to not get run over by the Magitech Infantry beatdown decks.
That's right. I wouldn't be surprised to see Matt take Fire Magic here. As you mentioned, their team very high on it. And sure enough, that's what he's going to take. The interesting part about that pick for me, Paul, is it doesn't really say where you're going, right? This can be splashed. You know, it only costs red no matter which tier you choose. So you can kind of play this in anything.
Yeah, the only deck you wouldn't want this card in is maybe a red-white aggressive strategy.
Right.
Maybe they don't favor that as much because a card like Suplex is good in every red deck, whereas a card like Fire Magic, you kind of want to be a little slower.
Paul, he just got past Genova Ancient Calamity.
Oh my goodness.
This is a top-tier bomb rare in the format. It's only 4 mana, but it has an immediate impact on the game. And it also has a lasting impact on the game with the +1/+1 counters that it spreads around.
You have to wonder what the person opened, right? Of course, in this world now, you can just open multiple rares, so maybe there was something better than Genova, but there's not a ton of cards better than Genova.
Yeah, it would have to be a really good colorless card, or maybe a really excellent single-colored card where you were, you know, making that gold versus single color debate in your mind. But Matt will be happy to pick up a Genova here. Let's see what he can do with this next pick. I see a Lock Hole.
Yeah, so Lock Hole is a very nice signpost uncommon. Of course, it's a little bit weird with Genova. Like if you're blue-black, are you going to splash green? But it is just generically the best card in the pack here. There's also side quest Raise a Chocobo, which could be a pretty nice consideration if you want to just solidify yourself in green.
Is that a Barrett there in red?
Red is okay, but Lock Hole is probably the most powerful of
I would take.
So,
Pass 11 left.
That was the green-white town.
So okay, this
Windhurst Federation Center. Paul.
Yeah, so let's try to make sense for this, because Matt Nass is a Pro Tour champion. This tells me that their team likes towns. likes the mana fixing and likes the flexibility. So Matt choosing to go with the Windhurst, not something I would have considered, honestly, out of that pack. You can, especially because it's not on color to anything that he has.
Right, that's strange. He's got Bard's Bow pulled to the front here. Is there anything else in this pack where there's a... No.
No, it's a fairly weak
Alice
pack
Final
here.
Act
Draft
kind of mediocre. Although,
left.
man, I would not be happy to be fourth picking a Bard's Bow here either.
Yeah, it's
Talk about medium.
It's a little bit rough. Maybe you're just going to try to
seconds.
cut off the green here just because you do have that Genova.
Yeah.
And, you know, you do want to curve out with your creatures, but that was, I think, a pretty weak pack overall.
Oh, there's a Resentful Revelation. I also like Ultimecia, but that you can get that a little bit later.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because you were saying, what are you going to do? Take a blue card right after you took a green-black? And my answer was absolutely. If
Right.
you want to be in the Towns deck or you want to be in a multicolored deck, Sultai is where you want to be.
Draft.
Absolutely. And
Pass
Resentful
9
Revelation is an
left.
excellent card. Just
All
full
right,
stop.
We're on Towns here, Paul.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
read was right.
He's just all in on Towns here because Resentful Revelation is actually,
Pick up.
you know,
20 seconds.
kind of overperforming to, like, if you're a black-green deck, it just kind of does everything you want, right? Gets
Way
you the
better
cards
than
you
you'd think
need,
reading it.
puts a bunch of permanents in your graveyard. There's a bunch of flashback cards that
seconds.
exist as well. So, yeah, I mean, I guess Matt's just really, really looking to draft the Towns deck here.
He's got Malboro pulled to the front here.
Draft. Pass.
And that is
8
what he's going to
left.
take. Okay, so leaning over towards green-black base Towns.
Right, and you can still
Which is a good
splash.
thing.
You
20
can still splash the
seconds.
Fire Magic. He did take the red-green town. So, and that is an excellent card if you are trying to play the Towns deck, because the deck that the Towns deck is very weak
10
to are the white
seconds.
aggro decks, and you want sweeper effects.
He's going to take Black Waltz number 3, it looks like, but this is a bit of a throwaway pack for him. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
Draft.
I
Pass
actually
7
am not the
left.
biggest fan of this card in
No
general.
more
Like on
10-second
stats, it
warnings.
looks really good, right? 4 mana for a 2/2 flying Death Toucher. But the problem is in this
Pick
format,
up.
2 of the
15
premium removal
seconds.
spells are Thunder Magic and Vein's Treachery. Both, and to have 2 common removal spells that kills your 4-drop that doesn't do anything, I just don't think it's particularly strong.
Draft.
So there's
Pass
Iridia
There's
6
there.
Iridia,
left.
but he doesn't want it. He takes World Map over it.
See, World Map's just not even a card I'm too happy taking or playing.
Like
I would
in
have
any case.
speculated
Pick up.
on the
10
Iridia there.
seconds.
And if Gruul is open, maybe you move
Oh,
in.
there's another Iridia.
And you-
so
so
this
now-
is actually the wheel pack here too, Paul. So Matt
have
has
to
just
take it
wheeled
now.
Iridia.
Draft. Pass 5 left.
Okay, so this is a big inflection point.
Yeah.
Right, for Matt. This is the point of the draft where it looks like he's finally kind of being pushed in a direction, which is he's got green cards, he's got red cards, he's got a few black cards.
Yeah, the only thing is it looks like Matt's trying to be too flexible here, too open. You know, taking Towns, like speculative Towns 3rd pick is just not, I don't think I've ever actually done that in this format so far. I would take Towns early typically when it goes with the colors that I have. That's, you know, if there's a green-black Town, I can see that. World Map there when there's Iridia, which is a signpost card. It's really important in this format to try to read the signals and figure out what your lane's supposed to be. So when you saw that Iridia 8th pick, I feel like that would have been a good time to at least consider it, especially given that you have the Fire Magic. You could end up in a Gruul deck splashing black, but he took the World Map here. But then once that second Iridia, the 9th pick Iridia that you saw tabled, you take that and all of a sudden now you're like, okay, this might be my lane.
Right, so if that is the case, if we're thinking green-red or green-red-black, some combination, what are some of the key commons that Matt would be having in his mind going forward?
Yeah, so right now it looks like Matt really wants to solidify himself in green. So specifically, he would want the premium green cards that exist. And two of the premium ones here are Summon Fat Chocobo. This card is just amazing. It just hits extremely hard. If you end up in Gruul, you're going to be slightly more aggressive. And there's also like a mild Chocobo theme there, which is quite nice. Then there's also Chocobo Kick. Matt Nass is looking for a little bit of interaction, and Chocobo Kick's a fantastic removal spell. Also, if you end up in Gruul, you're going to have some Chocobo tokens in play. Replaying a land to get that trigger is also very nice. Now, the last card is just another really good interactive spell, possibly one of the best commons in the entire set in Thunder Magic, which is just a really great removal spell. Even if you somehow end up in a Golgari deck, if you have the fixing, Thunder Magic is just a good enough card to just splash too, so you could also just be looking for something like that.
Now, what about uncommons for a deck like this?
Well, given that you saw that Iridia 9th pick, I really wish you had that 8th pick. But but given that you saw that, if you want to be Gruul, well, this is the signpost common that you really want. Gladiolus Amicitia, 6 mana for a 6/6, just kind of does it all. It gets you the splash color as well. It's huge. It kind of closes out the game. So even if you end up in green-black, something that you would absolutely love to splash. Then you just have two of Green's best some of Green's best uncommons here. Summon Fenrir is exactly what this deck needs. I mean, any green deck would love this card. This card just does absolutely everything. Gets you the mana fixing that you need, ramps you, draws you a card, kind of does everything. And Saz's Chocobo has been fantastic. If you ever have this thing in your opener and you're on the play, I mean, it just puts so much pressure on your opponents to deal with it. And this thing, I've just had this card just be a 4/5 and a 5/6, and to get that kind of value out of one drop is really impressive.
Now, if you were to dream a little dream with me here, Paul. What about wish list?
Well, I mean, we saw the Saz's Chocobo,
yeah.
And Saz Catsroy is one of the best rares in the entire set. Matt Nass wants to be green, probably, given what he's seen so far. This card's fantastic. 4 mana. I mean, I did a double take when I read this card. It's a 4 mana for a 3/3. It searches for a land or a Chocobo, basically. You can get a fat Chocobo, and all of a sudden, it's a 2-for-1 immediately. But then when it attacks, it's a 5/5.
Yep.
If not, or if you have a Chocobo in play, you can get a ton of value. So this card is absolutely fantastic. Another card that he could consider is Buster Sword, because it's a colorless card, so you don't know if you're red, green, or green, black just yet. So it's just an excellent card to just slap onto any of your creatures.
Especially Genova.
Genova, absolutely, and also works well if you do end up picking up like a fat Chocobo with Trample. And then, of course, the really, really impressive Nibelheim of Flame. This card works really, really well if you have a deck with either a bunch of Death Touch creatures or big green monsters. And if you're Gruul, this card is something that you absolutely want.
That's right. So this is perhaps some of the things going through the mind of Matt Nass. He seems to be very open right now, right? That is the mentality that he has coming in to this first pack of getting these towns. I mean, even off-color towns, it's like, good enough. Let's see what happens to try to get the towns deck. As I mentioned, I feel towns is best in a soul type base with occasional splash, like for a fire magic, that's actually worth it in that type of deck, because it shores up one of the problems that it has. And you don't really need to go for like full 5-color towns to get the full value, but let's see what Matt has in store for us here and what direction his draft ends up taking.
Pick up, 10 seconds.
Yeah, firmly in the Jund colors here. I guess he's going to just take another world map here.
Yeah.
The Eden is also pretty decent if you're not too many colors. But if you are, if you're looking to go 3, 4, 5 colors, playing a colorless land is kind of tough. Okay, Barrett Wallace, I imagine, is like the only.
3 left.
It's not an exciting card by any means. It's certainly much better if you're the Boros aggro deck that has a bunch of equipment, but not so much in a red-green base deck.
Draft, pass 2 left.
There's another world map, by the way, which kind of illustrates what you had said. Like, you just don't need to take it.
You just
like,
do not need to take
You
that
want
card.
one at most, and you will get it basically for free.
Draft.
Yeah, it is
Pass the last
completely
card.
free.
Go ahead and pick up the last card and look at it.
Yeah, so this is
let's start a
kind of a
60-second
rough
review
pack
period.
one
Pick up
here
the
for
cards now.
Matt. Just
Wow, you're being nice. This is really
all
tough.
10 seconds.
I mean, it started out great, right? Fire Magic in Genova is a really nice place to start, but then we're looking at maybe 6 playable cards.
Right, Laughing Mads aren't going to make the cut.
Yeah, Laughing Mad is like the type of card that you could maybe consider in a blue-red or black-red deck, right? Because you're playing spells, or the flashback triggers the 4 mana value effect. But in red-green, you just don't play that card as often here. So, I mean, based on what Matt's seen, it does seem like Gruul is his seat, which is a little unfortunate because Gruul is one of the worst color combinations in the format. But if Matt does branch out, and of course he's going to be looking to play that Genova here. But yeah, definitely just needs more playables, more power, more interaction. Kind of needs everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it did feel like he was trying to prioritize fixing, but it doesn't even feel like he really has that on lockdown here.
I mean, he took there's a white-green land that he took so early at
third
pick. So, and usually the Towns deck is like a blue-green base deck, right?
Blue-green and then black for the removal.
Right.
That's kind of the idea.
Because the blue is where you get a lot of the town payoffs. You get Omega, or the draw 4 cards effect, travel the overworld.
Yeah.
So, but right now, Matt Nass is kind of.
Got 14 cards.
Am I gonna be Gruul based with a splash? Am I going to be Golgari? I think a lot of it will just be kind of based on what he opens here.
Let's see. He should have the ability to get a wide range of options. Well, there's a Summon Fat Chocobo right there.
Yeah.
And with that Rydia, that's got to be on the short list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it looks like it's just kind of the best card in the Jund colors, right? Anything red or green or black, Summon Fat Chocobo is just the best card. It's a really good card, especially if you're in Gruul, and it combos very nicely with Rydia, because once the Fat Chocobo dies, you can just get it back into play.
And it's such a nice one to get back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's not much else in this pack either.
Yeah, Prompto Argentum is secretly like a blue-red card, right? That's kind of what you want to play in the blue-red
Shinra
spells deck.
Reinforcements isn't a thing.
Right.
But, you know, Summon Fat Chocobo, like you said, it's one of the better commons, and, well, you'll have to pick it up here. Obviously, a sweet rare or an uncommon maybe would have been on the shorter list there for Matt, but at least there's something for his deck.
Yeah. Not the most exciting first pick, but you know, you're always happy having one or two of these in your deck, for sure. Okay. So
there's a Coliseum Behemoth. That's one of my favorite payoffs if you're doing any type of ramp.
Yeah, and then there's a Call to Mountain Chocobo, which is a pretty solid card as well. But I think you kind of want a nice big win condition, especially if you're green base. Green, a lot of the best commons tend to help you generate a ton of mana. We're talking about the Goo Gardener, the Town Greeter. They just all give you mana, so you need to make sure you have enough top end because you have so much mana in your deck.
Yeah, and I found the Coliseum Behemoth to be really, really good. It's a great attacker, 7/7 with trample, but also the two modes, very relevant.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you just need a little more action, but there's often an artifact or enchantment that you want to hit at that stage of the game.
Yeah, normally I don't advocate taking 7 drops, but this one just checks all the boxes, right? It's a trampler and it...
is that Sin?
Oh, Sin is fantastic.
Oh, I love that card.
You would have to go back to like a green-black base. And
what summon was that, though?
Oh, but that's Summon Fenrir.
Oh, it's Summon Fenrir. How can you pass that here?
Yeah, you know, honestly, I think Summon Fenrir in general is just a better card. And right now, like,
that's offensive, Paul. Sin is...
Oh,
Sin is offended by you.
Well, you know what? I mean, I can offend Sin.
Well, the reason that it's offended is because you're right. That's the, that's the problem. But
yeah, Fenrir is just...
Summon Fenrir is an awesome Magic card.
Right. Also goes well with the Rydia.
Yes,
right?
Yes, it does. So that has to be the pick here. But
25 seconds.
I am. I can't help but notice,
of course,
the really great top end cards that are going by here.
Yeah. So there's a black Greenland here, but I think Matt really needs playables. So I would take the Balamti Rexar here just to have another nice large creature in your deck. There's an Omega, but you know, if you're going to be Jund-ish, maybe you don't need that as much. But see, this one isn't so bad because Matt's considering taking a Gone here. He has a Genova rather. And so this was an on-color dual land that you can at least play for your deck. So this makes some sense. I guess Matt has a little more confidence that he's going to end up with enough playables here, but I do like the Balamti Rexar.
Reach the horizon here. If we want to just shore up our fixing in one card, that does do it.
Yeah, I mean, Summon Fenrir and Reach the Horizon. We'll be looking for some more top end. But getting no red cards here in this pack.
Yeah, interestingly. Yeah. And Matt doesn't have, he's not touching blue at all yet, right?
No more 10-second
warnings.
Like
pack 1, no blue cards.
Yeah, didn't see anything in blue, really.
So there's another reason against the Sin pick.
I mean, we both really like blue. We would have noticed. Like, even if I saw like a combat tutorial, I'd be like, ooh.
Yeah, oh, hello.
Yeah.
Precious Wanderings.
Yeah, just nothing.
We're getting a little heavy on the fixing and ramp and a little light on the payoffs right now.
Right. But it seems like it's like the only option here.
Yeah.
You know, there is a chance that, you know, with Matt Nass passing the 9th pick Rydia, the person that he passed to ended up taking it and kind of moved in, and he might be getting a little bit cut off here. That's definitely on the table here. But, you know, Matt's got a lot of ramp. Going to be looking for maybe some more top-end ways to kind of close out the game here. Now, it looks like another ramp effect here. The Gardener is an excellent card. It's exactly what these green decks typically want to do, and I imagine it's the pick here.
Well, this deck is capable of creating a lot of mana of different colors.
Yep.
Now we need somewhere to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, turn 2 Gardener, turn 3 Genova.
That's
there you go. That's a place to go with it.
That's at least something.
Gisela Greens, not really what this type of deck wants to do generally.
Yeah. There's also...
Matt might just take a fight on here to give himself a little bit of more late game.
Yeah, although at the moment, because he doesn't have any of the self-mill effects, but, you know, if you just need just some card to get a little bit of action back, it's certainly something that you can still play. All right, tabled a couple of red cards that are good in like a spells deck here. Maybe you just take the Prompto Argentum. No, Mycelian Elder.
Sure.
Okay.
Pick up 10 seconds.
We're winding down pack number 2 here, watching Matt Nass draft.
Yeah, these
not
packs
much
are
here late.
Draft.
Yeah, these
Pass
packs are
4
drying
right.
up quick. But keep in mind, folks, this is a Pro Tour draft,
Pick up.
right?
5 seconds.
You know, when you do like your normal draft on Arena, you're like, oh my gosh, 7th pick this, 8th pick that.
Draft.
That does not
Pass
happen as
3
often in
right.
this format. And so just keep in mind, like the overall power level of everybody's
Pick
decks
up.
are generally
5
going to be
seconds.
much, much lower. You're going to be scrapping.
Ooh, Omega.
And so Omega is a
Draft.
nice one. I mean, you picked up
2
all that
right.
mana fixing.
Man, he's just not in blue. He's just not looking.
up.
at
I
it.
know,
5
but
seconds.
are you even going to put this Ifrit in your deck? Like, it's just
No
not
way.
a particularly strong
Draft.
card. I guess
Pass
it
the
works
last
with
card.
the Rydia, so that's
Go ahead and look
that's
at
one
that
thing
last
to
card.
consider. But
All right,
Matt
now
has a
there's
ton of
90
ramp.
second review period. I'll
He's
give you
got a
30
ways to
second
search
warning
for a
at the
blue
end.
source too, and Omega's,
yes,
and he took a bunch
up.
of towns early. I'm actually a little bit surprised he didn't just go for the Omega there
I am
on the
too.
off chance that maybe you get a blue town and then you can just put it in your deck.
I think it's just not on his radar. Like, I think he's not. He has no other blue cards, and he's like, I'm just not going down that road. But yeah, what you were saying, Paul, totally correct. This is the highest level of competition, and the players will not make it easy on you. We talked about working with your neighbors,
Right.
but I mean, if they don't have a pick, they're cutting whatever they think you're in and trying to
Exactly.
lower your power level of your deck.
It looks like Matt's just laser focused on whatever I take, it's going to be in these 3 colors, and I'm going to just somehow make it work within these 3 colors. Maybe it's just straight 3 colors, right? Maybe it's not 2 colors with a splash. And so Matt just wants to solidify himself here. Now, noting that, like, he didn't really see a whole lot of black cards.
No,
right?
he did take a late Malboro there, so the
Right.
fixing's on, but nothing. Look at that.
But if you're looking for signs that black is open, you're looking at cards like Vane's Treachery, Sephiroth's Intervention, Cornered by Black Mages. You just haven't seen any of the good removal
30
effects.
seconds.
So,
Nothing.
you know, black might be heavily contested, and especially given the signals in Pack 1, Gruul seems to be the spot. Now, he got totally cut off in Pack 2. He just only took green cards. I think he was hoping for more red cards, but I think Matt can at least expect the Gruul cards to flow in Pack 3.
I have to say, if that is the
10
case and Matt ends up in
seconds.
just basically Gruul with like a slight splash for Genova or something, it's really not where you want to be in this format. You know, we were talking on the intro about how basically all the archetypes are
cards down,
viable.
please.
If you had to make an argument for the
doing
one
great.
that isn't,
Let's go ahead and
it's
open that
Gruul.
last pack wrapper.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the
Count
you know,
14
you can have
cards face
success with
down.
any archetype,
Please let us
but
know
you
if you don't
like
have
especially for
14
something like Gruul, it needs a lot of help.
sleeves.
It needs to be
Excellent
wide
cards.
open. You're gonna need the 8th pick Rydias. They need to table. You're gonna need to get a late Gladiolus, right? You're just gonna need stuff like to happen. The issue is with Gruul, people splash Gladiolus all the
Totally.
time, so you just don't even
Pass
get
to
it
the left,
late.
folks.
No, and they
Pick
take
up,
all the good
40
red cards for the
seconds.
blue-red deck, and all the good green cards go to green-black. All right, here it is. Pack 3, pick 1. Let's see if Matt finds anything nice. Town Greeter. Is there a payoff, though?
No, there's not a bunch of graveyard
Thunder
stuff.
Magic?
There's no flashback stuff. There's a fight on. I think he's probably just going to be looking to take the Thunder Magic here. He
Sure.
needs removal. How many removal spells does he even have so far?
He has Fire Magic.
And Thunder Magic. I think that might be it.
Wow. Yeah, so he really needs this Thunder Magic.
10 seconds.
Yeah, I don't even think he has a Chocobo kick.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is just kind of a necessary card.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, his last 2 picks here, you know, Pack 2 pick 1, Pack
Draft.
3 pick 1 were both
13
like solid
left.
commons. Some
Yeah.
Fat Chocobo and Thunder Magic, they're okay cards, but you got to remember the uncommons in this set are absurd, and let alone the rares and the bonus sheet and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you're really hoping
Pick
for
up
something that's a
35
hammer,
seconds.
and instead you're picking up like a fine card.
I totally agree. First picking a common in this format is just not what, even if it's a good card, it's just not where you want to be here.
Oh, interesting. He sees a Balam Garden here, but again, the blue isn't really there, and there's a Suplex.
And the Sorceress's Schemes. I imagine it's probably just the Suplex here. It's
10
another removal spell.
seconds.
The issue with Balam Garden, if you're not base blue, is after you search for the garden, you need to find another blue source to actually activate it. So, you know, if you're base blue-green,
Draft.
that card is
Pass
fantastic. It's a
12
great way to
left.
finish. It's a great finisher in your Towns deck, but I think Suplex is just the pick here.
Yeah, Matt agrees.
Pick up 30 seconds.
See if you can get something with a little more oomph.
So Balam T Rexar, he's got a ton of ramp, so probably just going to be looking to take that. There's a Dragoon's Wyvern, but not blue, of course.
Right.
And I don't think there's enough Chocobo in Matt's deck for Bartz and Boko to do anything.
Nope.
So I think you just
10
take the big
seconds.
creature here. I mean,
Like-
at least these
oh,
are
man.
all cards that are going to make your deck.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But we're now on
Draft.
all
Pass
commons
11
here,
left.
Yep.
which isn't a good sign this early in the pack.
Yeah, you just got to keep hoping. The thing,
Pick up
he's just short
25
playables too.
seconds.
He needs a lot more help here.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
nice.
okay. So red was
Choco Comet.
I mean, that red is definitely open. Choco Comet rather, is one of the best uncommons in the entire set. So getting this 4th pick
10
is a good sign for
seconds.
Matt. Maybe this last pack can salvage his draft.
This is a really nice pickup for him. This is the quality of card that he wanted to have for these first
Draft.
3 picks.
Pass
Absolutely.
10
Now he ended up
left.
being at 4th, but he'll take it.
I've been burned out by this thing so many times, Marshall.
Any target.
Yeah, just go to the face.
Pick up 25 seconds.
Call the Mountain Chocobo there. I think that's a pretty easy call the Mountain Chocobo.
Yeah, there was a Sandworm and a Gubu Gardener as well in his colors, but yeah, I like to call the Mountain Chocobo a lot.
Yeah, it just
I
gives
just
you,
really like that.
yeah,
card.
it just
10
gives you plenty of stuff to do with your mana here. The Gardener is also, if you needed 2 drops, the Gardener is of course also a reasonable consideration here.
Draft. Pass 9 left. No more 10-second warnings.
Oh, no more 10-second warning.
laying down the law.
All right.
Pick up 20 seconds.
Oh,
What
it's
did
a
you see?
Fat Chocobo.
Oh, a Summon Fat Chocobo?
That is
Beautiful.
incredible. That's a nice top end card. Works well with the Iridia. I do love that.
Oh, that's a lucky pickup here for Matt.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, Summon Fat Chocobo. You know, you read it
Draft.
and you're like, wow,
Pass
this seems.
8
Oh,
left.
he's taking the dual
What?
land here.
There's no way. I mean,
Gaga
like,
Reactor Town.
I know casting your spells is
Pick
a
up
thing, but Matt
20
is really
seconds.
short on playables, and Fat Chocobo's a premium common in his deck.
Oh, I would. Yeah, I would have liked to see him take that there.
Wow. Like, I can understand if your deck is already incredible.
Right.
You already have 23 cards, and you're like, I'm going to have a difficult time cutting things from my deck, so then I'll take the land. But that's not
Draft.
Matt's deck.
Pass
Right.
7 left.
He's kind of scrapping for power, and he really did want to fill out that top end. He's done a good job of it, but
Pick
I
up
felt like that Summon Fat
15
Chocobo would have been
seconds.
kind of the last checkbox on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was that another T-Rexar? Yeah,
T-Rexar, I mean, is he going to take another red-green land here?
maybe. I mean, he just took Relentless X ATM 092. That's a real
Yeah.
card, Paul. And
Draft.
so he
Pass
did pick up
6
another
left.
6-drop.
Okay.
So maybe the T-Rexar, goes down a little bit in
Yeah.
that circumstance. And I mean, to be fair to
Pick
Matt,
up
his mana
10
does look
seconds.
incredible now.
Yeah.
He just,
Uh,
wow,
what- I mean-
3 duels in a row.
Well, given this, I bet he wishes he took
Of
the
course.
Chocobo. But at the time, he didn't know. So.
Right. Well, he does have.
Pass 5
But there's no,
left.
like-
It's just that's not the problem with red green. It's not like it's really good unless
Pick
your
up
mana.
10
It's not about your
seconds.
colors of mana. It's about power level.
You also just don't need. There's no towns payoff in this.
No, I mean there's not that many towns payoffs in general.
Right.
Like the payoff is going to take a
Draft.
Giganto
Pass
here.
4 left.
Is the ability to play across 3 colors and have
Pick
your
up
pick
5
of all of
seconds.
those.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at the cards that actually care
Draft.
about towns,
Pass
they're
3
blue,
left.
Yep.
and sometimes they're also
Pick up
green.
5 seconds.
All right, winding down pack 3 here for Matt Nass.
Draft.
He has
Pass 2 left.
he's climbing a steep hill here, Paul. He's in
Pick up 5
arguably
seconds.
the worst color pair,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Draft.
wasn't that
Pass
open.
last card.
It wasn't that
Look at
open,
last
but
card.
at the
All right.
he does have some powerful cards in his deck that can potentially get him out of this, right?
Yes.
That 4th pick Choco Comet was huge.
Yes.
He needed some interaction, and 3 of his first 4 picks were removal spells. So that shored up a weakness in his deck, and he also has the powerful Genova. So if you can just draw the right combination of those cards, I think you can get there. I'm just really curious to see what the final product is going to be. His mana is going to be great. He prioritized it very, very heavily. It's just, are there 23 amazing cards to kind of complement all the lands that he took?
Let's take a look at his final list here. We'll also get a sense for his curve. Oh, 2 world maps made it?
Yeah,
How many lands is he playing? 16?
16 lands. There's 2 world maps. There are 2 Laughing Mads, which generally you don't like in the Gruul decks. There is 2 2-drops. Okay, and yeah, I mean, you're playing the Gigantode in there as well, just because you need something.
This is just an underpowered deck.
It does seem to be that way.
That's all it is. I mean, it's not that it's like horrible or something. He's going to be able to cast all of his stuff easily. So if he draws a good mix of stuff. He kind of has all the bases checked, or all the bases covered as far as that goes. But I mean, Barrett Wallace is in here.
I mean, the biggest thing is just the Laughing Mads. Like, I just almost, you generally just don't want to be playing that card. Even in my blue-red spells decks, I'll play it sometimes. But of course, you just need filler level cards. But just imagine, look at this deck in front of you, everybody. Imagine a second Rydia and a second Summon Fat Chocobo in the deck instead of the 2 Laughing Mads.
Yeah, that's decent.
It would be significantly stronger. But again, Matt prioritized the mana fixing. He will at least have no trouble casting his spells.
Well, the one good thing for Matt is that he's one of the best players in the room.
Yes.
And this is a room of the best players in the world. So let's see if he can take down the win in round 1. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have magic here from Pro Tour Final Fantasy. Don't go anywhere.